So, what is an investigative journalist? Well, perhaps the place to start is to understand what a typical journalist is. Most of the time, what journalism is it's a matter of gathering information from competing sources, sources who have competing views of what is true or what is real, and then sort of presenting all those different views in an article or in a newscast, and letting members of the audience decide for themselves what the truth is. Investigative journalists don't do that. Investigative journalists attempt to arrive at their own conclusions about what the truth is. And in that sense, they're actually more akin to, say, academic researchers or police detectives, people who gather raw evidence and bring their own methods and their own interpretations to that evidence. So this is what investigative journalists do, and it's a very valuable service because they're actually kind of helping the audience sort through the facts and arrive at some sort of sustainable, verifiable conclusion using transparent methods that people are free to evaluate on their own. So that's what investigative journalists do. And now, if you are interested in being an investigative journalist, there are some perks here. In that investigative journalists usually have a lot of latitude in the newsroom. They can take much longer to develop stories. They usually are given a few more resources than typical reporters. But this is something you're going to have to work your way into. It takes a lot of trust from your editor, a sense from your editor that you're worthy of the kind of investment that a newspaper has or a media outlet has to make in order to have somebody do investigative journalism.
As Chief Commentator of Business and News Reports.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to call our next witness, Donald Trump, who certainly needs no introduction. Your fame and reputation precede you, Donald. We're very happy to have you here. We know you to be very frank and outspoken, and you've had extensive experience, not only in large real estate developments, but also in sports and gaming and entertainment industries. And I'm glad you're able to make it here this morning, and appreciate your waiting and being so patient as you. Very much involved in regard to this credit crunch that we have before our nation today. So you may proceed in any way that's comfortable with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Donald, you may proceed.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I think I could say to Mr. Seidman, who I believe has done a really fantastic job while he was in government, that had the 1986 catastrophe of the Tax Reform Act not been passed, I'm not sure that you'd know Mr. Seidman in the capacity of RTC. You'd know him in some perhaps more positive capacity, but not in the Resolution Trust. And I think in bringing that point up to Mr. Seidman before, he tended to agree with me, I think. Good. So this tax act was just an absolute catastrophe for the country, for the real estate industry, and I really hope that something can be done, as Congressman Thomas recently said, that something can be done to change at least parts of it, because it has taken all incentive away from investing in real estate, and real estate really means so many jobs. I mean, you have a city called New York City. You have a city, Boston. You have other cities and so many other cities. But I can tell you from very personal knowledge, New York City has virtually no construction right now. And we're not only talking about office buildings, of which there are many. We're talking about housing, moderate income housing, low income housing, even high income housing, where you create jobs. You create so many other things. They buy carpet. They buy furniture, they buy refrigerators, they buy other things that fuel the economy. And incentive has to be put back into the construction of things that are needed, such as housing of all kinds. I heard this morning that we've had the lowest number of houses built in terms of the housing since 1946 or 1947. And that's not much of a tribute to this group of folks that are representing the country, unfortunately. I feel, I feel very badly about it. Everybody feels very badly about it. The fact is that the one word that nobody up on the panel has mentioned is the word depression. And I truly feel that this country right now is in a depression. It's not a recession. People are kidding themselves if they think it's a recession. You look at what's happening in the automobile business and in the retailing business. The retailing business in any part of the country virtually is a total disaster. But the real estate business, we're in an absolute depression. And one of the reasons we're there is what happened in 1986. In addition to what Mr. Seidman said, is what happened in 1986 with the changes. So I really came on the basis that I wanted to, I'll answer questions on it, but I wanted to discuss the Tax Act of 1986. Active, passive, you're absolutely right, 100% right, and something has to be done. It has to be brought back. It has to be reformed. It has to be taken care of. I think for certain types of building, such as housing, I think depreciation schedules should be very severely limited, cut, so that people have incentive to build housing as opposed to commercial, which really, again, the commercial is probably taken care of for a long while. The reason it's taken care of for a long while, however, unfortunately, is the fact that the economy is so bad that there's no reason for the commercial. And I think that gets taken care of and gobbled up very quickly if the economy improved. One of the big things that we don't have today that we used to have and that was a very good thing for real estate, and that's the whole word of syndication and investment. And if you're a dentist and you're making $200,000 or $300,000 a year and you can't invest now in real estate. The reason the stock market is artificially high, in my opinion, is there's no other form of investment. I mean, you can't put it into real estate and you can't put it into bonds. So people are putting it into a stock market. All the companies in the stock market are doing lousy, but their stock is high. And I think what we have is when the stock market goes down by, let's say, 1,000 points in 2 days, which perhaps it might, then we're in a full-scale depression. Then everybody admits it. Then the politicians admit it, the president's going to admit it, everybody's going to admit it. And right now, the only thing that sort of keeps the word depression off their lip is the fact that we really have a 3,000 stock market and people are surprised to see it, because the companies certainly aren't doing very well within the market itself. But the syndication of real estate was a very positive thing. And you can't syndicate. You can't have people putting up equity. That would take a lot of the strain off the banks. If people could put up equity in the form of equity money for syndication, where you used to be able to go out and syndicate a piece of real estate, today you can't. A lot of the strain that we're talking about, liquidity crisis, a lot of the strain comes off the banks. And I think it could really open up a whole new market. And the other thing is, frankly, by having cut the high-income tax rates to 25%, as an example, people don't have the incentive anymore to invest. They're saying, why should I take a chance on investing in low or moderate income housing? I might as well just pay the tax. But the fact is that 25% for high-income people, it should be raised substantially, with the understanding that if you invest, you can get it down and down substantially below that number. The incentive was taken away when the tax rates came down for high-income people. And I say leave the middle, leave the low, lower them. But people with money have to have the incentive. The dentists, the doctors, they have to have the incentive to invest, and there is no incentive. So New York City desperately needs housing. There's no housing being built. Every city needs housing now. There's no housing being built. And I hope at Ways and Means they're going to be able to do something with respect to housing, because if it's not done, you're just not going to have any construction jobs in this country. In New York City has the lowest number of construction workers, I think, since the Depression. I was with a very, very capable firm the other day, the biggest construction firm in New York City, HRH, and it's called HRH Construction. And we were discussing what they had planned. They said they have not one building planned in New York City for the next 2 to 3 years. Now, you think of that. Not one building planned. So you say that means not one electrical work.
All right, man. Let's eat them beans.
Cold drink, he don't make.
You on? Hey, Babaluga,
Got a bed here. Boss, bringing it up here.
All right.
Who's that?
It's Godfrey.
Welcome, boss. Don't we ever talk?
I think you just said something.
I'm Miguel Rojo. I want to talk to you. I'm Miguel. I hear you're hiring on men. Well, I might just be available. I gotta tell you before you hire me. I don't work cheap. Get 3 coffins ready.
Huh?
Adios, amigo.
Listen, stranger. Did you get the idea? We don't like to see bad boys like you in town. Go get your mule. You let him get away from you?
You see, that's what I want to talk to you about. He's feeling real bad.
Huh?
My mule. You see, he got all riled up when you men fired those shots at his feet.
Hey, you making some kind of joke?
No. You see, I understand you men were just playing around, but the mule, he just doesn't get it. Of course, if you were to all apologize... I don't think it's nice, you laughing.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
Hey, buddy. I'm doing good. I guess a few quick things. Okay, March 7th, 6 p.m. Are you free? And can we debut a video or two of yours and have a discussion about it at the next RLC meeting? Can you make it?
At this time, I don't see why that would be a problem. If for whatever reason I can't make it, I'll let you know, but that sounds like a plan.
Okay, cool deal. I'm gonna post events, and then I'm going to email people. So I just wanted to make sure that that day is free for you. And then
I will warn you, though, that, you know, I'm not really a politician or that much of a person that deals with large crowds or anything. So, I mean, like, I've never introduced my videos in person before, so it's going to be a little awkward for me, but I'll do my best.
Okay. Yeah, well, we're not a huge group. I'd love to say that we were. I'd love it if we were, but we're not.
Right.
It's quality over quantity, and nobody thinks you're a politician, so no worries. Okay, and then also, you know, I've been thinking about it, and I wish I had not removed your post. Rather, I wished I'd, after calling you first, maybe just watched the rest of it and then posted my thoughts about the video.
Right, right. Well, that's just,
you know, so
that's natural. It's just your emotions in control of you. That's all.
yeah. Well, I don't want to get into a habit of censoring people. I'm trying to encourage the opposite.
Right.
You know, discussion and stuff like that. But in any case, if you wanted to post it back, feel welcome to. But I watched the rest of it, and, you know, I have thoughts about many of the things in the video. But we already discussed some of them yesterday. So I don't want to get too much into it again today. But in any case, just letting you know that.
The short and sweet summary is that I was doing a news beat. I actually went there at your suggestion. I didn't have.
You did?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I didn't have the opportunity myself to go inside the Coliseum to where the Trump supporters were, but I did manage.
Because you didn't have a ticket, yeah.
Right, but I got coverage of the people who oppose Trump. That doesn't mean that I oppose Trump. You know, that's the people, so I can't control what they do. You know.
Right. Totally. And, you know, just, you know, I mean, I'm like, more, you know, it's a weird, you know, talking with other libertarians, you know, we're in a weird place where we're admitting that we kind of think that Trump is the most liberty-loving president that we've had, best president in my lifetime, and I was born in the Reagan years. So, you know, that's some high praise for President Trump. But, you know, I don't consider myself a fanatic, and I'm discouraging fanaticism within the party.
Well, one way I looked at it is that maybe the whole system has gotten so, like, out of touch with reality and so corrupted that it took a madman to make us, you know, see some sort of sense to everything. Like,
he's shaking.
A wild man, so.
Yeah, and he's shaking up stuff that needs to be shaken up. So
right. Even stuff that he does that I don't agree with, I always give him points because I'm like, well, he said he's going to do something, and then he actually does it. You know. So
yeah, you have to respect somebody. They never do that, so you have to respect Trump when he's doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
And from what I heard, I think it was a couple of years ago, I heard that maybe things have changed. Maybe I don't have my information 100%. I'll have to double check, but I think that his entire presidential paycheck of around $400,000 a year, he doesn't even collect that. He just gives it to charity.
Nope. He does. Well, he's been giving it to charity, or, you know, giving it to the VA, or giving it to other departments that he thinks need the funding or something like that.
So to me, that's a true politician because, I mean, we know he's a billionaire, so that's how he's able to do that. But that just still shows that, you know, he's not, at least on the surface, you know, trying to do this job for money. You know, he's really a politician. Right. Yeah.
It's worth taking notice of and appreciating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
I don't know if any
Agreed,
other presidents have done that. But.
I think George Washington didn't want. He took a salary or something like that,
and he gave. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
He lost a lot of money always hosting veterans of the Revolutionary War. Well, but it's been too long.
It's probably because he was a general. He had a bunch of wartime buddies he wanted to meet with. They did start a new country, so plenty of celebrate, you know.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he had a close bond with him, and so that's to his credit. And it's we want to encourage this. We'd love to see more of that. So Trump paying the VA is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I think that, you know, the news, the mainstream news, or maybe I just don't watch enough news, but it just seems to me that, you know, the mainstream news just kind of gloss that over. But to me, that's something I always remember. I consider that a big deal.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right, man. Good talk.
Yeah, well, you have a great day, James. I appreciate you calling, and I will put March 7th down on my calendar, and you said 6 p.m.?
Yes, sir. March 7th at 6 p.m.
Okay, if you don't mind, I hate to do this. I know you're not my secretary, but would you mind texting me earlier that day, just so that, because I'm going to try to remind myself that if you don't mind, if you could just text me on March. I mean, I'm sure we'll be talking in between that anyways, but.
Sure. I think I get your emails. I could email it to you. Is that okay?
Email works too. Yeah, I mean, and I hope you don't mind, because I know that you already told me to stop blowing up your phone and your Facebook page.
Yeah.
Do you mind if
you can have my email, but then just choose which inbox you want to use. That's all.
Well, the only email I have for you is the one you gave me, and I have, as you know, I've been CCing you on several of the emails that I do regarding various things. And the only reason I do that is just so you can see the written side of the stuff I do.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, then you can do... email sounds like a great way to send your information to me, and I'll get it.
Oh, I live on email. Long before I ever started the Horizon City News Service, I was all about writing an email. That's like home turf for me. So, I mean, if someone wants to deal with me by email, I'm all about that.
Yeah. You're a man of words, and you're an educated person, and that's something I want people to know about you, and that was something that, you know, like, if you get to, and you're not that kind of person, but people don't get that from a first impression. If they see that video that's F Chief Greg, and you make a good point about it, because you're citing the Supreme Court cases, and you're pointing out that he doesn't do body cameras, and, you know, but we also want people to know that you have that juxtaposed with your images of Thomas Paine and the Sons of Liberty and stuff like that, and I love your images of the reporters and stuff like that.
Oh, thank you. And in regards to the sign that says "Fuck Chief Greg," that actually is emotion-based. That was my anger towards Chief Greg, because he can't apparently he can't train his men to respect the First and 14th Amendments, and I got arrested on January 14th simply for having a smartphone and recording a traffic stop.
That totally understand that emotion.
So I mean, I know that you had told me last night that I need to tone down, the primal type of behavior.
No, I'm not telling you. I'm not telling that you need to tone down, but I'm telling you, I'm not trying to at all want to editorialize you. I'm not your editor. You are your own editor, and you post as you wish. I'm just telling you my reaction, and that's it.
No, but I take that seriously. I'm definitely not going to let you edit me, but I definitely want to hear what people like you have to say, and I want to consider all things that are told to me, including from people who hate my guts, because a lot of the times the people that hate my guts are, in a way, the best critics, because they might have like a distorted, extreme, version of me that is not true, but the way they came to that conclusion, I try to dissect it and, try to, it's hard to describe, but I think the voices of everybody, even people that hate me, it helps.
Indeed. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Criticism, if you take it the right way, can make you a better person, better producer of whatever your craft is. All right, man.
Yeah, I won't keep you too long, and you have a great evening. Thanks for the call.
Peace out. Bye.
All right, James.
We know from an early age that changing the rules in the middle of the game isn't allowed. The Code of Criminal Procedure adheres to the same concept, that the rules can't be changed during criminal prosecution. Due course of law is basically the same concept as due process. It refers to procedural law. Procedural law is the
process by which one is found guilty of a crime. The end goal of the Code of Criminal Procedure is that this procedural law be fair and consistent for all people. The Code of Criminal Procedure states, no citizen of the state shall be deprived of life. No citizen of the state shall be deprived of liberty. No citizen of the state shall be deprived of property. This includes your house and your possessions. No citizen of the state shall be deprived of privileges. No citizen of the state shall be disenfranchised. Disenfranchised means prevented from participating in the government. An example are Jim Crow laws that were passed in the 20th century designed to disenfranchise African Americans. None of these shall be taken away except by due course of law of the land. No one can be deprived of anything without due process of law. There must be a hearing, a trial, or a formal procedure for any of these things to be taken away. They can't be taken away arbitrarily. Finally, the formal procedure we use must be fair and consistent for all persons.
Whoa. I didn't mean to put you to work. Now, every year they print out a new one of those books? Yes. Oh my goodness. No, I'm sorry. Every year. Okay. Legislature gets together on every 2 years. Every 2 years, right? Yeah. And then they make changes. Yep.
Do you have your ID with you? I'm asking for your ID right now. Are you understanding me? I need to positively identify you right now. Do you have your ID on you? Do you understand what I'm telling you? Or no? You jaywalk, that's illegal. I need your ID right now. Do you understand? Yes? Do you not understand? Can you step this way? Let's go. Step this way. I'm asking you to step this way. Is it no way? Huh? Yes, sir. Actually, the order is your ID right now because you jaywalk. That's illegal. You understand jaywalking? You need a crosswalk to cross from where you started right now, where you pulled over, to walk on this side. That's called jaywalking. Do you have your ID? I need your ID to properly identify. Let's go, sir. Let's go this way. Why you grab my hand? Because I'm asking you an order. You're not listening to me. Let's go. So it's an ask or an order? It's an order. Oh, for jaywalking? No. Jaywalking is illegal. That's what you just did in front of us, in our presence. And I'm asking you for your ID, and you're failing to provide your ID. You understand that? Well, I was just... Let it go. Whoa, no, sir. I'm going to tell you right now. It's an order now. Put that down and give me your ID.
As you all probably know, every 2 years the legislature meets for 140 days, starting on the second Tuesday of January, and so that started this week. The judiciary always gets to play an important role, and one of the most important roles is that the Chief Justice Hecht actually swore in the new members of the Texas Senate. We had a large contingency of our judges from the Courts of Appeals and other judges from the Court of Criminal Appeals and Supreme Court over in the chamber. They were invited to sit on the floor, had special reserved seating for them. So this is a day when all three branches of government come together, with the governor being there in both chambers, the judiciary being represented in both chambers, and of course the legislature there. So it's always a pretty exciting day for government to see government function as it gets started for this session.
Thank you for your service, officer.
You're welcome, sir.
And what is your badge number again?
2069.
2069?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service, officer.
The rule of law matters in all kinds of different ways. It's the foundation of what gives people the confidence to be able to speak their minds, for instance, knowing what the rules are in advance and they won't be punished by the government for what they say. And what we see when we look around the world today is that countries that have the rule of law tend to be richer and freer than countries that don't.
The constitutional principle of the rule of law means that we live under known and settled laws that were established in a system that is open for all to see. Like many constitutional principles, many take this idea for granted. We know that our laws are stable and that the rules of the game cannot just suddenly change. As John Adams said in 1776, the true idea of a republic is an empire of laws and not of men. Rules cannot be discarded or laws enacted on one person's whim unless established legal processes are followed.
One of the things that's most interesting about the rule of law is that has emerged in history. It is primarily a protection for the ordinary person. The rich and powerful have always had the ability, in some sense, to be able to manipulate the government for their own ends or find the loopholes in the law to protect themselves and that sort of thing. It's the common person, the person who doesn't hire the lobbyist, who doesn't have the ability to influence the government, that benefits most when the government protects the rule of law.
A look back at the way the Constitution was framed and ratified shows how committed Americans were to the rule of law. After flaws in the Articles of Confederation were identified, 12 of the 13 states sent...
Sir, can I ask you a favor, sir?
What's that?
Can I have you stand over there? I don't want you to get hurt out here. Could I just have you stand on that side? You're welcome to videotape, but could you just please stand over there?
Can I just back up here?
Just back up. I just don't want you to get hurt in case something happens here. That's all I'm asking.
I appreciate it.
Okay? Just maybe back over to the dirt somewhere.
All right.
¿Se encuentra bien? Are you okay? What are you doing? What's that? You're drinking your beer? You alright? Alright, do me a favor, go ahead and place the beer on the ground for me, okay? You're not in trouble, I'm just checking on you, okay? I see you pacing around back here. Alright, go ahead and have a seat over here. So what's going on? What are you doing? Just hanging out? Alright, do you have an ID with you? That's you don't have any type of ID with you? I'm sorry? Why not?
The mother has called us and said that her son has sent her a text saying he was going to kill himself.
It's a routine call for Harris County deputies, but it warrants a specialized response.
Okay, there's no telling what's going on here.
You have any weapons on you? Just stand up and let me pat down for weapons.
I'm out with the merit unit. It's under control.
Lieutenant Robert Henry leads the Harris County Crisis Intervention Response Team, or CIRT. Since October of 2011, 3 CIRT units have served the more than 1.5 million people living in the unincorporated areas of Harris County and diverted 221 people from going to jail.
He admitted that he tried to kill himself before. He tried to do it, he said, I think 2 or 3 times.
A mental health clinician and deputy make up the 2-person patrol units to respond to these sensitive situations.
You're not in trouble or anything, but we're worried about you and we're worried about your family.
This 24-year-old man has not been taking his medication and does not have a permanent home, so they're taking him to a local treatment facility.
Too often we wait for a person's illness to find them help, but behind the walls of a correctional facility. That, number one, that's just not right.
But some argue the program has only helped to prevent a mere fraction of the more than 2,000 people who've come into contact with CERT. They wonder whether the program is worthy of the increased funding Sheriff Adrian Garcia is seeking to expand it.
I would say to them, go speak to the families. Go look at the families that these members belong to and tell them that the investment isn't worth it.
At a time when mental health concerns are at the forefront nationally, local officials across Texas want to be sure lawmakers don't sacrifice funding for treatment to balance the next budget. Reporting in Harris County, this is Alana Rocha with the Texas Tribune.
I don't know if you're busy right now. I don't want to bother you if you've got things to do, but I just had a couple questions for you.
Hopefully I can answer them for you. I'm not sure if I can.
Okay. Well, if you can, you can. If you can, you can. But I'm glad I got on the phone with you finally. I hope you're having a good afternoon. So basically, I just wanted to ask you directly. I don't know if you've reviewed my emails, but I've sent several. And I just wanted to know if you can tell me if you know when Mr. Reamer, in case 1809035, when he was either discharged or transferred from the hospital after he was taken to the hospital on September 14th.
Okay, as far as I know, that's part of your open records request, so that's being reviewed by the city and should be responded by the city. It's not something I can respond for them.
Okay, but the response that they gave, which they're trying to not reveal a large amount of records, including videotapes, is what they're trying to, not release in the Attorney General request. But all I'm asking for is just one simple question. What date and time was he discharged from the hospital? That shouldn't be intimate and embarrassing, which is what...
Okay, I understand your question, and the answer to that is I have no idea.
You don't remember one other word that I speak. I want you to remember this. When you deny someone their liberty, you have a responsibility to provide for the safety and welfare of that person.
It was an accident.
Yeah, I know. You don't have to report us.
What's that?
Can I have you stand over there? I don't want you to get hurt out here. Could I just have you stand on that side? You're welcome to videotape. But could you just please stand over there?
Can I just back up here?
Just back up. I just don't want you to get hurt in case something happens here. That's all I'm asking.
I appreciate it.
Okay? Just maybe back over to the dirt somewhere. All right.
Justin Gordon, and I'm the Open Records Division Chief at the Texas Attorney General's Office. Thank you all for attending the Public Information Act training today. This training has three purposes. The first is intended to provide the statutory training that's required under Section 552.012 of the Government Code. At the end of the presentation, I'm going to provide you with a code that you will use to sign up, go onto our website, and fill out your attendance and receive your certificate for this training. The second is to provide a refresher for those of you who are dealing with Public Information Act issues on a daily basis. And the third purpose is to provide a resource for those of you who may deal with it on a less frequent basis, but who want to be able to rely on this as a resource to come back to, check and know what your requirements are under the Act, whether or not the Act applies to you, and also to be aware of some of the common exceptions and the common procedures. So the training is going to be broken up into the headings here. First, background and legal requirements for open records and public information. Next, we're going to talk about the applicability of the Public Information Act, procedures and requirements regarding complying with the Public Information Request, the role of the Attorney General under the Public Information Act, and penalties and other consequences for failure to comply with the Public Information Act. Basically, when you're done, we want you to be able to identify a public information request, know what the PIA covers, know what information is going to be responsive to that type of request, know basically how to properly respond to a request, and how to handle the Attorney General ruling process. Okay, so that's the background on what the Act covers and who falls under and is required to respond to Public Information Act requests. Now we want to look at what is a Public Information Act request. It's really important that every member of your governmental body knows how to identify a Public Information Act request. We're going to talk about how Public Information Act requests can be received in a moment, but all that you need to know for this point is that anyone in your governmental body can receive a Public Information Act request if it comes in by hard copy, hand delivery, or mail. So that means anyone can walk up to any employee in a governmental body and hand them a handwritten Public Information Act request, and it triggers all of the requirements of the Public Information Act and all of the requester's rights. So very important that everyone knows how to identify them. So what are the limits of a Public Information Act request? There are not very many of them. The first is that it must be in writing. That's easy. The second is that it must ask for information that is in existence at the time the request is received. So take from that, you're not required to create new records in response to a Public Information Act request. You can. It often is beneficial to requesters to do that, and it can make it easier for your governmental body to do it, but you are not required to create new records. There's no requirement to answer questions. So if an entity asks you a question, you're not required to respond to it. You're only required to make a good faith effort to relate that question to records that you maintain. And there is no requirement to perform legal research. So you're not required to receive a Public Information Act request, forward it to your legal department for them to provide an answer or legal research on. So those are the limitations on what you're not required to do under the Public Information Act. That's about it. There are no magic words required. They do not have to say this is a Public Information Act request. They do not have to refer to the government code. All that they have to do is submit something in writing that asks for information. It can be typed or handwritten. We've seen them in all forms. Email is the most common now, but we're still seeing them come in written on a napkin. And you cannot require the use of a specific form to submit a request. However, it's very important to note that you can recommend and provide a form. Many requesters do not submit Public Information Act requests very often, and so they are very appreciative when a form is provided, and it can help you and it can help them. For example, when requesters submit something in hard copy, they may not provide you with a phone number, or they may not provide you with an address. And that type of contact information is really critical for working with requesters on getting them the records promptly. So it's a good idea to have a form, but you are not permitted to require the use of the form. A requester can submit a request in any form as long as it is in writing.
Hey, was it Ryan Kerr?
Yes, I think that was yeah.
Okay, he just stepped away from his desk, but he should be back fairly shortly. Would you like his voicemail?
I can wait. I mean, I was told I could call at this time and that he'd be available. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think he's into a meeting. I think he just stepped away. Do you want to try holding for a few minutes?
Yeah, no, I'm patient. No problem.
Okay, and what was your name, sir?
My name is Andre. I live in Horizon City.
Oh, okay. Let me put you on hold and see if he comes back. Okay.
Okay.
Did you know that the County of El Paso's fixed asset control and inventory
Sir, he just walked by, so I'm going to send you over there, okay?
Okay, great.
The county holds live public auctions to dispose of aged equipment, vehicles, furniture, and other items that are no longer needed.
County Attorney, this is Ryan Kerr.
Oh, good afternoon, Mr. Kerr. Thanks for taking my call. My name is Andre. I live in Horizon City.
Yes, sir.
And I was calling you today because I just want to follow up about a records request I made last fall.
Okay.
And so, obviously, the records request, I'm assuming you're familiar with what I'm talking about, but there was no records found regarding my request.
Yes.
But if that's the case, if there were no records found, then I feel that the county attorney's office needs to know that the law is not being followed.
Okay. But it's not being followed by the Horizon City Police Department? That's what you're saying?
No, by El Paso County, Texas.
Okay. In what way?
Well, in the Texas Health and Safety Code, Section 573.024, Mr. Reamer, in that particular case that I've been making so much noise about here in Horizon City, he was entitled to transportation after release if he was released from whatever mental institution he was committed to.
Mm-hmm. Well, so it's, whenever I looked for records on this, one of the things I asked was for the county auditor to look to see whether anybody had submitted any bills to us. So if the police department, the city police department, were to transport him and then give us a bill, then under that statute, presumably we're stuck with the bill. And we didn't have anything for that person for that time period.
Well, just so that there's no confusion here, from what I'm reading in the law, and I'm no lawyer, but I'm just reading you the law as it's written, and I have it right here in front of my face. It says, Section 573.024, it's from the Texas Health and Safety Code. Subsection D says the county. It doesn't say the city. It doesn't say anything else. It says the county in which the person was apprehended shall pay the cost of transportating the person. So there's no other entity that is put on the hook for the payment other than the county.
Mm-hmm. Nobody submitted any bills to us under that subject matter.
Okay, and that's why I'm trying to talk to you today on the phone, is that if nobody did submit a bill, then I'm assuming that means that no transportation was provided, and that means that the law is not being followed by the county. Or by the government in general.
Okay, I understand. I guess I'm trying to figure out, do you want to make my supervisors aware? Because it sounds like the arresting agency was the Horizon City Police.
Well, first of all, the whole concept of arresting agency, no crimes were committed, so let's just get that clear right now. Is that Mr. Reamer was taken by the police, that's for sure, but he committed no crime. So the word arrest, I'm not even sure if it should apply to Mr. Reamer because he didn't commit any criminal offense. Next, after he was taken to the hospital, the Horizon City Police Department has made it abundantly clear several times that that's as far as they're concerned, that's as far as they're going to be involved in it. That once they drop them off at the hospital, they want nothing more to do with any of his welfare or records or anything, and they have nothing more to say. So there's no answers I can get from them.
Okay. Is there anything else I can help you with the in regards to the PIA request, or?
No, the PIA request, as we both know, led nowhere, which it should have led somewhere, because the law says what was supposed to happen, and my PIA request should have taken me to a record to show that the law was followed. But instead, it led me nowhere because obviously the law was not followed. So now I want to bring this issue to the El Paso County, Texas Attorney's Office.
Okay. Well, I have your info from the email. Is that all good contact info for you?
Maybe you could read it back just to make sure.
Okay. Let me pull it up. Let's see what I have here. Okay. I see that we sent it via email at I'm sorry, it's gonna be hard for me to pronounce your last name. ANDREI LAGERGREN?
Yes, that's it.
71@gmail.com.
Yes, that's my email.
Okay, so I have your first and last name and your email. Do you want me to take down any additional information from you? And I'll include your concern, and I'll provide it to my supervisor. I'm not sure that there's much we can do in the way of in action, but I'll make them aware.
Okay, well, that actually concerns me in and of itself, what you just said, because if the law is not being followed and you and the people that you work with claim to be the county attorney's office for El Paso County, Texas, if I report to you laws not being followed when they should be followed, shouldn't action be taken by your office?
Potentially. I mean, maybe not. It depends on what the actual facts of that particular case are.
Okay, well, I mean, and that's another confusion is when you say that case, I mean, as far as the records and the law is concerned, as far as I know, and again, I'm no lawyer, I'm no police officer, but as far as I know, the records end at, HCPD case 1809035. That's the record that was created by the police department. They dropped them off at the hospital, and that was that. So any other record that's out there is basically just the PIA request that I made, where a new record number was made for that PIA request regarding this man that was taken by the Redding City Police. But when you say the words "that case," I just want to make it clear, I don't think there's any other case started by anybody else regarding how this man was treated after he was taken to the hospital and whether he got transportation after release and all that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, I don't have any more information for you. I mean, like I said, I can take down this information and include your name and everything and run it up the chain, and see how they want to handle it.
Right. No, and just to be clear, I'm not asking for any more information from your office. Okay. Now, at this point, I'm trying to bring a new controversy to your office.
Okay.
And this controversy deals with the fact that a man was taken by the government, the Horizon City Police Department, and he was essentially just thrown into a legal black hole. Nobody can answer as to what happened to him. And I'm not talking about going into his detailed medical records. I'm just talking about answers to simple questions, like when was he released from the hospital? Nobody wants to answer that. And then whether he was released or not, that's not being answered. And if he was released, he should have gotten transportation back to the point of apprehension, his home, or another reasonable location under Texas state law. Obviously, that didn't happen either.
Well, I mean, I've not investigated this case, and I don't have firsthand knowledge of this case, so.
No, and I'm not trying to ask anything from you regarding that. I'm not trying to ask for answers from you right now. I'm not trying to say, well, you personally need to look into this, and I want answers from you. What I'm saying is, as of this phone call right now, I want to start something. I want questions to be asked in the El Paso County, Texas Attorney's Office about the controversy that I'm bringing up.
All right. Okay. Well, like I said, I'll write all this down and I'll run it up the chain.
And when you say the chain, what exactly does that mean? Who is that eventually? Because the buck has to stop somewhere. What chain is that? What group of people is that?
My direct supervisor is Christina Ford.
Okay.
You know, there's steps above that, but ultimately the elected county attorney is Joanne Verno.
Okay. Now, I'm assuming that they took some sort of, when they got appointed to that position, they took some sort of oath or allegiance to Texas state law, right? They're supposed to uphold Texas state laws.
Yes.
Right, and so that's why I feel that, you know, I have a legitimate controversy to bring to the county attorney and all their people, because Texas state law is not being followed regarding this man that was taken by the Horizon City Police.
All right. Do you have anything else for me to put on there?
Or? My cell phone number, and that's 915 781 4330.
Okay.
And then I also have a YouTube channel, and it's called The Horizon City News Service, all capitals.
Okay. Alrighty, we'll discuss it and see what action we may be able to take or may not be able to take. Okay.
Okay, and so at this point, you know, based on what you just said, do you want me to reach back out to you, or are you going to reach out to me? How's that going to go?
We'll call you. Yeah, we'll call you.
Okay, instead of calling, would you mind emailing me, because sometimes it's hard for me to get to my phone.
Yeah, sure. We can do that.
Okay, and just a quick question about you. I mean, obviously you're a lawyer, but how long have you worked there at the county attorney's office?
I've been here since October.
Okay, and I don't know, do you just deal with anything and everything from jaywalking to murder, or do you specialize in something, or what exactly do you do over there?
So I work in the General Counsel Division. We answer PIA requests and review most of the county documents, county contracts.
Okay. Okay.
That's what I do.
Well, I thank you for your service, and thanks for taking my phone call today.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.
Have a good day. Goodbye.
You too.
Yes, sir. How can I help you?
Yes, who am I speaking to?
My name is Michelle.
Okay, and what exactly do you do for the county attorney's office?
Yes, I'm the paralegal for the county attorney's office. If you need to fill in for an application, you can come to our office and fill out the form, and it needs to be submitted before 1 o'clock.
No, I don't need to fill out anything. I'm calling about a incident, a situation that happened in the past.
Okay.
So I saw when I just typed in, mental health, El Paso County, Texas, you guys popped up in Google. So I just wanted to call today just to discuss the situation that happened in the past and just, see what you have to say about it.
Okay, so there's nothing. Okay, so go ahead and let me know what you want to discuss.
Okay. Well, there was a man that was taken by the Horizon City, Texas Police Department back in September. And I got the body cam video recently, back on January 22nd. And based on the statement that was on the investigation report and on the video that I saw, it didn't appear to me that he was a danger to himself or others. And
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. Were you the one that filled out the application for the ED?
No, and that's another issue I want to bring up, is that nobody filled out any application. In fact, nobody had called the police that night. The Horizon City, Texas Police, on their own, initiated a stop on this man and then decided that he was suitable for an emergency detention order, even though it appears in both the video and in the statement on the investigation report that I got a copy of that he was not a danger to himself or others.
And who are you to relations to the patient, to the proposed patient?
I'm just a fellow citizen.
Okay, but okay, go ahead and go on.
Well, I was just going to say that after reviewing the video, the Texas Health and Safety Code, and the investigation report from the Horizon City, Texas Police Department that it does not appear, and you can see the video for yourself, you don't have to believe a word I say, it does not appear that the man that was taken into custody by the Horizon City, Texas Police on that night, that he was a danger to himself or others.
Okay, well, if the police officers felt that he was, and they did an ED, then they had reasons to do that. How, you said that was back in September. Do you have the name of the person?
Yes, his name is Mr. Jacob Neufeld-Reamer.
Oh, Mr. Reamer. Okay. Well, I cannot give you any information on Mr. Reamer. You're not.
I'm not asking for.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, under the circumstances, I mean, I don't know what you can do with that evidence. I mean, he is under commitment for certain reasons.
Oh, he is?
Yes, sir, he is. And,
do you know who he is?
No, sir, I cannot give you that information. And
Well, but I mean, it appears that you know who he is.
I'm sorry?
Well, it just sounds like from your answer that it appears that you know who he is. You've dealt with him before.
Oh, yes, sir. We've dealt with him many times before.
Okay. Well, and I understand all that, and maybe there's other occasions where it was legitimate that the government, you know, decide that he needs to be committed. I'm not trying to say that at all times the government is wrong, but what I'm saying
Well, let me ask you this, sir. How did you get access to this video? Why did you get access to the video?
Well, back on in late September, early October, I filed a Texas Public Information Act request, an open records request for the incident that happened with Mr. Reamer. The only reason I did so at the time, I had no idea what I was asking for at the time. I was just I was only trying to establish a timeline of events because I also had been contacted, basically, you know, messed with by the Horizon City Police that night on the same street. So I was filing my own complaint with my own issues. And then just to establish a timeline, I asked for, because I had seen something happening down the road from where I was, and it turned out to be Mr. Reamer's situation. So when I asked for those records, that's how I got the investigation report in my hands. Now, once I read that investigation report, I wasn't even trying to look for anything, but I couldn't help but notice that it was a criminal investigation report. The Horizon City Police Department is listed as the victim, and Mr. Reamer was listed as a criminal offender, even though he committed absolutely no crimes.
Okay, sir. Well, have you decided to open up a case? Did you want to file a lawsuit against Horizon? Because if you do, that's solely on your grounds and has nothing to do with us.
I know. I've not pursued
But just to let you know that Mr. Reamer. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I think that you're jumping the gun here. I'm not trying to start any lawsuits, at least not at this point. I mean, obviously, what happened to Mr. Reamer didn't happen to me, so
right.
Yeah.
Right. So in other words, you're calling us because you want us to do something about it, or you're going to do something about it?
Well, I'm glad you bring that up because let me clarify exactly why I'm calling. I'm calling because I think that what happened on that September 9th, it was September 14th, I think that what happened was in violation. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but a lot of what I'm seeing on the video and definitely what I'm seeing on the report, which lists him as a criminal offender even though he committed no crimes, it doesn't seem to fit the criteria listed in state law in the Texas Health and Safety Code. It doesn't appear in the video that he was a danger to himself or others. And the government
let me do this. Let me get your name and number, and I can have one of the attorneys talk to you, and you can explain the situation to them. Being that you're not related to the proposed patient and you have nothing to do with the proposed patient.
Well, no, I do have something to do with it, and that is that I have been routinely messed with by the Horizon City Police.
But this doesn't have anything to do with Mr. Reamer.
Here's why. It does, because Mr. Reamer could have been me that night. And
okay, sir. Give me your name and your number, and I'll have one of the attorneys speak to you.
Can I just wait on hold?
No, well, our attorneys are in court at the moment, so that's why I need to get your name and number. That way they can call you back, and you can give them all the information that you're telling me, and maybe they'll be the best people to explain to you the process, the system, your part in it, what you can do, because I am not an attorney. I'm just a paralegal.
Okay.
And I cannot give you advice.
No, I'm not asking for advice.
I'm just saying. But if you want to go this route and explain the situation to the attorney, that what you just told me, that it could have easily been you, and the information that you sought and received, they'll be the best the person to talk to you about it.
Like I said, I'm not asking, and I will give you my information, but I'm not asking at this time from your office. I'm not asking from your office.
No, I understand that, sir, but I am not suitable to answer any questions and to listen to what you're telling me because I cannot give you advice or I cannot. I mean, it's not a place for me to listen to. In other words, so this is the reason why I want the attorneys to speak with you.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay, go ahead and give me your name and number.
Sure. My first name is Andrei, ANDREI.
Okay.
My middle initial is K, as in Kevin. That's not my actual middle name, but it's K.
Okay.
And then my last name is Lagergren, LAGERGREN. As in Nancy, Lagergren.
Okay, sir, and a number where they can reach you.
915
Mm-hmm.
781
781.
4330.
Okay. Let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and send them an email. When they get back from court, they'll go ahead and read the email. I'll give them the situation. I'll give them the reason why you called, and I'll have them call you.
Would you mind CCing me on that email?
I'm sorry?
Would it be okay if you CC'd me on whatever email you're sending?
Give me your email address.
Okay, it's I do not answer questions, all lowercase, at gmail.com. A full do and a full not. I do not answer questions at gmail.com.
Okay,
No spaces.
I'll go ahead and let the attorneys know.
Okay, I actually do answer questions, but that's my email address. I do not answer questions.
Okay, sir. I'll go ahead and give the information to the attorneys, and I'll have one of them call you back.
Okay, and I'm sorry, it's been a long day. What did you say your name was again?
My name is Michelle.
Michelle. Okay, do you have any type of employee ID number? Or?
No, sir, I cannot give that to you. I'm sorry. But I'll go ahead and have the attorneys return your call.
Okay, but you work for the El Paso County Court System?
I work for the county attorney's office, not the court system.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you for all your assistance, Michelle.
You're welcome, sir.
Yep.
Assistance or community resources, press 0 to speak with our office manager. For Holly Doggett, our executive director, please press 1. For Greg Hanch, our public policy director, please press 2.
Good afternoon. This is Greg. How can I help you?
Good afternoon, Mr. Hanch. Are you on your lunch break? Is now a good time to speak?
No, I just finished my lunch. I have a meeting at 1:30 that I'm kind of getting ready for, but what can I do to help?
Okay, I know you're a busy guy, and I really appreciate you picking up the phone. And if you don't mind, if I could just get a few minutes, I wanted to just make sure that you got my email. I CC'd you on several emails over the past few months about a particular situation here in West Texas.
Mm-hmm. What's your name?
My name is Andrei.
Andrei. Okay. Yeah, I have seen your emails. Yeah, it sounds like a lot has gone wrong and with some things in your life. So I mean, we want to help in any way we can. You let us know what we can do.
Okay. Just listening is already plenty of help. And actually, when you say the words, a lot has gone wrong in my life, it's actually not my life that I'm actually focused on with the emails I'm sending you. It's actually about another man who I believe the government has overstepped their legal authority.
Mm-hmm.
So
gotcha. Who is the other? What's the nature of your relationship with the other man?
There is no relationship. He's just a fellow citizen that was in the town behind the 7-Eleven drinking beer. And
okay.
I admit that I'm really big on the Constitution, so that's how I got interested in what happened to him.
Uh-huh. I see. I understand. I see. Gotcha.
Well, and then in addition, and that's why I'm on the phone with you, is that I carefully watched your videos on YouTube. I had no idea who you were or what your organization was, but I found your video that you made in 2016 on YouTube about the Texas Health and Safety Code. And that's that's one of the main places that I learned about what is legal and illegal, in the Texas Health and Safety Code.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I just wanted to call you today and let you know that, based on what I saw in the video, what the government wrote down in their report about this man, it's not adding up, and it's not how the Texas Health and Safety Code is designed to work. And, this guy was just taken. And from what I heard, actually, on a phone call just within the last 20 minutes from the county attorney's office, he's actually still committed in some sort of mental institution. And I'm sure that there's plenty of times that he might have been committed in the past for a legal, valid reason, but I feel like this particular reason that he was taken, that he wasn't given due process and that he was taken against his will.
Yeah, that's troubling. That's very troubling. You know, have you been in touch with Disability Rights Texas about it?
No, and that's another reason I'm calling you and your organization, is to find out, because I mean, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not educated like you guys, I don't work in the mental health industry, so I don't know all these other organizations out there. So whatever other organization you have to suggest to me, I'm willing to listen.
Yeah, I mean, I think disability rights is really kind of a go-to on cases like these. Adult Protective Services, which is, you know, a government agency, they might also be a resource, but I think disability rights is really the go-to because they have the authority to investigate cases in which people have been wrongfully stripped of their, you know, their liberty, their freedom. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was
No, go ahead.
In addition, just to add to what you just said, I'll let you continue, but in addition, I found when I started digging around my own town's police policy handbook, because I like doing open records and getting everything in black and white, my own police's policy itself said certain things, like that he was supposed to have handcuffs in the front, not the back. In the video, it clearly shows that they put the handcuffs in the back as if he had committed some sort of crime. You know, so I mean, even policy, before we even talk about law, the police department was not even following some of its own policy.
Yeah. Have you gone to the town council, the city council, or like county commissioners or anything and brought this to their attention?
I haven't, but I'll be honest with you, I don't trust any of them, so I haven't really worried about what they think. I mean, maybe in the future I'll eventually bring something up to them formally, but I'll just be totally honest with you. I don't trust any of them because, you know, everybody's connected, whether it's through nepotism or money or some way. It's all like conflict of interest everywhere you turn. So.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, a lot of what you're describing, it seems like something that, you know, a good person on the local level could help to address. You know, and not everyone in government is out to, you know, out looking out for themselves or out to get people. I think there are some, you know, elected officials or people who serve in state government who want to know about these things, who want to know what's affecting their constituents, and they're interested in helping. You just got to find the right person.
Well, I you know, I try to take a positive mental attitude sometimes. I appreciate that you're trying to get me onto the positive, you know, side of things, but let me just give you the facts here, is that in late September, early October, I made a Texas Public Information Act request for the body camera videos of what happened to this man. The lawyer and obviously the town government, at that point, their response was what to me appears to be a deliberate stall tactic. They then tried to exempt my access to that body camera video, and their argument was based on an old case from the 1970s that dealt with labor unions and the access of records of people involved in labor unions, basically stuff that had nothing to do with the Texas Health and Safety Code or Mr. Reamer. They were just trying to use anything and everything to exempt me from getting the video, even though they knew I probably would still eventually get it. And finally, the Attorney General in Austin did give me the video, and once I saw it, everything that I suspected, or a lot of what I suspected, was in that video, that he was taken against his will, illegally. And so that right there proves to me that the attorney that represents, or I don't know how many attorneys they have, but the general counsel that represents the town and the government itself for the town deliberately stalled the release of those videos because they were trying to hide something.
Yeah.
And I know that you're probably sitting there thinking like, well, who am I? Like, you know, but I felt like I had to tell somebody, so. I
appreciate you bringing it to our attention. I know, I mean, it sounds like, at the very least, a very frustrating and troubling situation. I just encourage you to, you know, really keep fighting the good fight. This seems like a person who needs an advocate, and if you weren't looking out for this individual, then who will? And there's, you know, as a state organization, like, you know, with a small staff, and we don't have attorneys on staff, like, we're limited in what we can do as well. But the types of referrals like Disability Rights Texas, I think that is a resource that could potentially be helpful.
Okay. You don't happen to have their number? I mean, I'll look it up if I have to, but if you happen to have their number.
No, I can pull it up fast. They have a helpline. And again, like they investigate like cases where people have been wrongfully restricted of their liberties, like they're being held in a psychiatric hospital and they don't need to be there, those kind of things.
Speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up, is that I'm making currently a separate Texas Public Information Act request. I've learned a lot about the open record system dealing with this whole case, so I feel like I know a thing or two now. But I'm definitely no lawyer. But anyway, I made a new Texas Public Information Act request regarding there's a law in the Texas Health and Safety Code that says the police were supposed to read him some sort of right, like not like Miranda, like criminal stuff, but basically like inform him of some sort of right that he has as like a mental patient. And I didn't see that on the video, and I know that the town is probably sweating bullets right now because I don't think that's it, because they redacted a bunch of audio. So what I now am asking for is them to unredact whatever portion of the audio proves the police read him his rights. I don't think they did, and that's why, I think that they're sweating bullets for that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, complaints can be filed against law enforcement too, and I'm no expert on that, but that might be something worth looking into as well. Filing a complaint with the state against a particular law enforcement officer.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll eventually pursue all that, but at the end of the day, I'm just one man. I'm not being funded by anybody, so I mean, I'm doing this all on my own, and I'll be perfectly honest and upfront about who I am and what my motivations are. This all started because of spite. I had a problem with being messed with by the Horizon City, Texas police and other police just in general in El Paso County and throughout my life, where I would just be sitting in my car. I do this routinely. I sit in my car and I watch Netflix or Hulu on my phone. I'm not bothering anybody. And then there's times that the police will just race up and put spotlights in my face and start interrogating me, and they just assume that I must be up to no good because it's 2 a.m. or whatever. And so that's where this all started, is that I was actually trying to file a complaint about just another time that they did that on the same day that this happened with Mr. Reamer. And that's how I ended up getting his records in my hands. I was just trying to establish a timeline to set up a complaint for my own issue. And then once I read his report, that's when I was like, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's not just happening to me. Mr. Reamer also was just a guy behind 7-Eleven drinking a beer. Nobody called the police. And then they come into our lives and just decide that we're criminals and try to find anything they can to lock us up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, I have to head out to this 1:30 meeting, but
I'm sorry. Yeah,
I appreciate you reaching out, and we'll help where we can. And thanks for keeping us in the loop.
Okay, sir, you said you had a number for whatever organization you mentioned?
Yeah, hang on one sec, sorry.
Okay.
I'm good, how are you?
Okay, it's Disability Rights Texas. They're at 1-800-252-9108.
Okay, I really appreciate it, sir, and I know you're a busy guy, and I'll let you get on with your business. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Andre. You take care.
Have a great day. Goodbye.
You too.
Thank you for calling the El Paso Psychiatric Center. If this is an emergency, please hang up and call 911. If you know your party's 4-digit extension, please enter it now. For all others, press 0 for the operator.
Paso Psychiatric Center, can I help you?
Yes, I'm trying to get in contact with an individual I believe might be in your institution.
Do you have the ID number?
I have an ID number from the El Paso Police Department, but I don't think I have any ID number from your organization.
Let me transfer you. Hold on, okay?
Okay.
Admissions, this Lorraine may help you.
Yes, I'm trying to get in touch with an individual I believe might be in your institution, and at the very least, I just want to know if he's there or not. And if I could just leave him a message or speak with him, that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, and who are you looking for?
His name is Jacob, and his middle name is Neufeld, and his last name is Reamer.
What is his last name?
Reamer, R-E-I-M-E-R.
Okay, and what is your name?
My name is Andre.
Andre?
Yeah.
And a phone number for you?
915-781-4330.
Okay, if that person is a patient here, they will give them the message, and if they're not, then they won't call you, okay?
Okay, can I just wait on hold if you could see if they're there, or?
No, I have to either give them the message and let them decide. So, yeah. I'm in a completely different part of the hospital. So, if they are here, I don't even know if this person is here, to tell you the truth. If this person is here, then they'll give you a call. If not, then they won't call you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to see. Well, I'm just trying to find out where he is. I mean, I think he's there, but how can I know or not?
Well, if he's here and he wants to call you, then he'll call you. I mean, there's nothing else I can do. I mean, all I can do per the HIPAA violations, per the HIPAA protocol, is to tell you that I'll take your name and number, and if he is a patient here, we will give him the message. If he's not a patient here, he won't be calling you.
Okay, well, could you read back my number just to make sure you got it?
915-781-4330, and your name is Andre.
Yeah, and if you could also put down that I live in Horizon City, Texas.
Horizon City, Texas. Okay. Will do.
Horizon City, 2 words. Horizon City. Yeah.
Okay.
And who am I speaking to? Are you a nurse? Or?
Yes, my name's Lorene. I'm the director of the intake.
Okay. And do you have any type of employee ID number?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any type of employee ID number?
No.
Okay. Now, this psychiatric center, is this run by the El Paso County government or the state of Texas? Like, where do you guys get your money?
We're a state facility. I don't know where we get our money. I'm just a nurse.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for all your help, and you have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Yep. Hello?
Hi, is this Mr. ANDREI LAGERGREN?
Yes, I'm sorry about that. Yes, probably at a bad moment there. I'm ready to talk. Who's this?
I'm returning your call from the county attorney's office. My name is Gabriela Reed, and I'm one of the supervisors. I understand that you called as a concerned citizen regarding something to do with something you witnessed.
Yeah, well, originally it was something that I had seen from a distance and I was suspicious about, and then I did an open records request for the case document and the video, and fast forward to today, from back when it happened, I got more information revealed to me, especially from the video, and based on all the information I have now, I wanted to just bring my story to the county attorney office.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm happy to hear whatever your concern is, sir, but I do have to tell you that I'm not at liberty to share any information with you, and we are not an entity that can do anything with public complaints.
Okay, well, in regards to seeking information, I'm not seeking any information from the county attorney office at this point because my open records request with your agency, your office, I've already done that, and it was closed because there was nothing to find for that one open records request. I'm not seeking any information from you guys. And then in regards to complaining to your agency or office, I'm not, I mean, I don't know how to feel about that because, I mean, you guys are the attorney for the county. You're supposed to uphold the law, right?
Well, we have specific jurisdiction under the law. But, I mean, I'm happy to talk to you about whatever you're concerned about. I just don't want to set you up for an expectation that our office has any authority to do anything.
All right, well, that, I don't know quite how to feel about that statement. I guess I'm glad you're being honest, but I'll just tell you my story, and then you can do whatever you want with it. But I feel that it needs to be told.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, we're talking about something that happened last fall on September 14th, in the early morning hours of September 14th, here in Horizon City, Texas. And there was a man, his name was Mr. Reamer. Apparently, he's known to the system. He's known to the El Paso police and the mental health care system, and, he's not a newcomer to all that. But anyway, he was behind the 7-Eleven, and he was drinking a beer, and nobody called the police. Nobody asked for a welfare check. Nobody asked for an emergency detention order on him. He was just there. The Horizon City Police approached him. One thing led to another. He gets put in handcuffs. He gets categorized as a criminal offender, even though he committed absolutely no crimes. They even violated their own policy by putting his handcuffed behind his back instead of in the front, as their own policy says he should have. Then they took him to a hospital because they claimed he needed to be placed under an emergency detention order. And from what I saw in the video, it doesn't look like that was legal because he wasn't a danger to himself or others.
Okay. I can tell you just about the system in general is that if he did come through the system and he would have been appointed an attorney ad litem who could basically make those same arguments and obtain the same information. So hopefully his rights would be advocated for on his behalf by the assigned state lawyer, presuming he went through the system.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't have faith in any of that based on what I've seen so far. Because, even the open records request that I'm doing right now, I know that the Horizon City Police Department is probably sweating bullets over it because in the video that I was given, which, by the way, was not given by their choice, it was forced to be given to me by the Texas Attorney General, so keep that in mind. Once I saw the video, that at no point in the video do I hear the Horizon City Police telling Mr. Reamer, that's his name, his rights under the law as someone detained under an emergency detention order. And when I started scrutinizing the Texas Health and Safety Code, there's actually a state statute that says that the Horizon City Police was supposed to, in non-technical, verbal manner, in an oral manner, they're supposed to tell him and slowly and clearly what his rights are as someone who's detained under an emergency detention order. I don't think they did that.
Okay. And if they did not do that, I don't know that I have a repercussion for you other than you could maybe file a complaint with the Horizon City Internal Affairs.
No, and I'm doing all that, but I don't have any faith in any of that. I'll file complaints. I even have a couple that are supposedly being investigated by the Horizon City Police. But as we both know, you send a complaint to the same agency that's being accused of something, that's asking people who've done wrong to investigate themselves. So I don't really have much faith in that, but,
Sure, I understand.
So what I'm saying is that, basically what this phone call is, I'm calling the police on the police. You're supposed to be the county attorney that has, I guess, sworn some sort of allegiance to the U.S. Constitution and Texas state law. And based on what I see on the videos, you don't have to believe me. You can see the videos, you can see the investigation report, and it's not adding up, and it's not what was intended when the Texas Health and Safety Code was written in Austin by the Texas legislature.
Understood, sir. Understood.
Okay, so now what?
All I can do, sir, is make a recording that you called, record it down in our records that you called and you made the complaint. I can advise you that if you feel very strongly about this complaint and you don't feel like the investigation will be handled, by the same people you're making the allegation against fairly, then you should contact an organization that has investigative authority, such as the state troopers, the Texas State Trooper, to investigate those types of allegations.
Well, and again, that's why I called the county attorney office, because I didn't have, I wasn't holding my breath that your agency, your office could help me directly, but I was hoping that someone in your agency or office would say what you just said, that you would point me in the direction of someone who does have the authority to look into this objectively and, actually do something.
Sure, and I think the only agency at this point would be another law enforcement agency, since this is an allegation against Horizon Police Department that they did not properly do what you're alleging they should have done. So the Texas State Troopers would be the most appropriate parties.
Okay. Now, just keep in mind, I mean, and I know that the Horizon City Police probably at this point, because, you know, at this point I've tried to blow this thing wide open because I've made some videos and stuff, you know, showing the people or anybody who wants to see what I'm talking about, you know, what this story is all about, at least what I've found so far. And, you know, I'm not saying the Horizon City Police Department is a bad police department. I'm just saying that they're not as perfect as they claim to be. And this is a perfect example. And Mr. Reamer didn't obviously get, you know, beaten or anything like that. They didn't, like, talk to him, I don't think, in a very bad way. But at the end of the day, the law was not followed. That's what this is all about.
Okay, sir. You know, I think that I've given you the direction that I can. You always have the option of hiring a private lawyer to pursue some sort of legal action for you. But I think that perhaps that's your personal choice as to whether or not you want to do that.
Well, I don't know this guy, Mr. Reamer, personally. The only reason I feel so strongly about him, and I'm sure he's a nice guy, but the only reason I feel so strongly about him is because of my experiences of being harassed by the Horizon City Police and other law enforcement agencies. And so, as far as I'm concerned, what happened to him that night could have happened to me, whether it's an emergency detention order or whatever, you know, basically being apprehended without, you know, due course of law. And so, I don't know him personally, and to me, what happened to him is a symbol of other things that have been happening in this town and just in the county in general with the El Paso police, the sheriff, everybody. And so that's what this is all about.
All right. One other organization you might consider is calling ACLU, since you feel very strongly this was a violation of his civil liberties.
Right.
They might be an agency that could assist you as well.
Okay. And are they in Austin?
I think they have a local office. Okay. You might want to Google that. They used to have a local office. I'm not sure if they still do.
Sure. Okay. I'm just trying to think of anything else here. Now, when you're at county attorney's office, supposedly they have some sort of mental health office. Like, what is that all about?
Our office is responsible for processing mental health cases on behalf of the state of Texas.
Okay. So you mean like people who've been accused of crimes?
No. For example, hospitals that submit paperwork that say people need to be committed, perhaps against their will, we process those papers.
Well, if that's the case, I know that you keep saying that you're basically acting like, okay, well, there's nothing my office can do for you, and you know we can't touch this, but that actually does hit this situation in a lot of ways, because when Mr. Reamer was taken, you know, even though I'm not a family member, I feel like I should be able to ask certain questions to the system, whether it's hospitals, the government, whoever. Like when I just tried to find out if he was discharged from the hospital or not, even that was shrouded in secrecy.
All of that information is confidential information.
Just even the question of is he in the hospital or not?
Correct.
Okay.
HIPAA laws apply to everything in regard to the mental health system. And so whether you were a family member or not, that information could not be shared with you.
I mean, I know that's all well-intentioned, but what happened in a case like this, and I'm not going to keep you on the phone all day, but I just want to say, you know, as the last parting words, is that in a case like this, all it takes is for a police officer to walk up behind the 7-Eleven late at night and start triggering this chain of events, you know, based on just the flimsiest statement that he was supposedly mentally disoriented, even though that's not what the video really shows to me. And then this guy just gets taken by the government, and then that's it. It's like, we just have to trust that everything is legit, when I don't think it is, but...
I understand, and that's why the law also makes sure that an attorney is appointed if anything else happens, so that hopefully that attorney can advocate the position you're advocating, basically.
Okay. And I'm sorry, ma'am, it's been a long day. What did you say your name was again?
It's Gabriela Reed.
Okay, and I know you're a lawyer, but what exactly do you do for the office generally, the agency attorney's office?
I'm the division chief of the mental health unit.
Oh, okay, perfect. Okay. Well, thanks for taking the time and taking my call and listening to me.
Okay, and thank you for your concern as a citizen, sir.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Yes, I was calling because I had read an article, I think it got posted last August, and it was about the new mental health unit, last April, about a new mental health unit that's coming to the El Paso Police Department.
Okay.
And so I was calling because I don't live in El Paso, but I live in Horizon City, and there was this issue, this situation that happened with a man, and it deals with mental health and emergency detention orders, and basically, I don't think that what happened was legal when the government took him, and I just want to tell the El Paso Times what I have here, the video and the story.
Okay, can you tell me just what happened?
Sure. Well, on September 14th, there was a man, his name was Mr. Reamer. He was behind the 7-Eleven here in Horizon City. He was drinking a beer. Nobody called the police. He never asked for any assistance from the police. Nobody, like no family member, friends, or anything like that had initiated anything from the justice system or mental health care system about emergency detention orders. The Horizon Police on their own approached him. One thing led to another, and he ended up in handcuffs, and he was taken to a hospital against his will, and they claimed that he was mentally disoriented and or mentally unstable and disoriented. Those are the words they put in the investigation report. And they categorized him as a criminal offender. He didn't commit any crimes, but they categorized him as a criminal offender, and that was it. He just, that's all I know. That's all I can prove as to what happened to him. That's what the body cam video shows, but, you know.
You said he was drinking a beer, right?
He was, but I don't even think that was a crime because, you know, he wasn't, like, publicly intoxicated. And,
right.
Yeah, so.
So, I mean, they didn't even, like, because, I mean, I know there's, like, a kind of, like, you know, there's laws against, like, having, like, open containers in public. Did they,
that's there.
You know,
I
they
looked
even,
at
like, try that, or?
Yeah, no, and I see where you're going with that, and I started looking that up, and when it comes to Texas state law, from what I read, there's no actual Texas state law that says that simply being on foot, now being in a vehicle is different, but being on foot, which is what Mr. Reamer was, having an open container, that's regulated from local jurisdiction to local jurisdiction, but I don't think there's an actual state law that deals with that. The only state law dealing with alcohol when you're on foot is public intoxication, and Mr. Reamer was not publicly intoxicated.
Okay. What did you say his last name was? Reamer?
Yeah, Reamer. R-E-I-M-E-R.
Okay. All right. And was he taken to this El Paso mental health unit?
No. This like I said, I live in Horizon City. I don't live actually in El Paso City, but
Right.
yeah, I mean the state law still applies when it comes to emergency detention orders. And so after reading the article that your newspaper did on the El Paso Police Department getting some sort of new mental health unit, I figured that, you know, this would also be a story because there's also issues dealing with mental health out here too. And in this particular case, I feel that the system, you know, overreached and was just, everything was done hastily. And this guy, you know, was just taken, and he wasn't supposed to be, in my opinion.
When did this happen?
September 14th. It was like just after midnight. Yeah.
Okay.
The only reason it's taken so long for me to get the body cam videos, and that's another, you know, controversy in itself, is that when I did the open records request, the town and the general counsel, the attorney, was basically doing anything they could to not let me see the videos, and then eventually the Texas Attorney General forced them to give me the videos.
What is, do you know what the status of Mr. Reamer is now?
I'm 99% sure that he's committed in the public psychiatric center, which I guess is funded by Texas state tax dollars. The only reason I know that is because I was speaking to a paralegal today at the county attorney office, and when I mentioned Mr. Reamer's name, she instantly was like, "Oh, Mr. Reamer," and I was like, "Oh, so you know him?" She's like, "Yeah." And so basically they were familiar with him, I guess, from other cases or experiences, and then she said that he had been committed, but I mean, that's just something that slipped out of her mouth. I don't have anything in black and white saying where he is, you know?
All right. Which psychiatric center did you say?
I would have to look it up, but there's...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say, there's a public one. Hold on, let me type in what I searched earlier. Yeah, the one I called was the El Paso Psychiatric Center, and that's at 4615 Alameda Avenue, 79905. And when I called, there was a nurse that answered the phone, and she said she couldn't tell me if Mr. Remo was in there, but if he was in there, then he could call me back on his own, and that's all dealing with HIPAA law. And so I left my number, and I told her if he is in there, I would like for him to call me. That's all I could do. So.
Gotcha. And you said you have the video, right?
Yes, I have the body cam video. I've already posted it on YouTube, so I could send you that link if you want.
Yeah, sure. Let me give you my email. It is CRR.
Hold on one second. I'm getting my little
iPhone
notepad out here. I'm sorry, what was your name?
My name is Codell Rodriguez.
Okay, and are you, I mean, maybe this is a dumb question, are you a reporter or?
I'm an editor.
Okay, well, that's even better. Or at least I think.
Yeah, it's usually a step up.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm ready to take down your.
All right, it's CRR O D as in dog R I.
I'm sorry, hold on. I'm sorry, my thing went haywire here. Hold on. It's not my fault. It's the auto spell. That's what I hate. It starts spelling for me. I never asked it to. CRR.
O D R I G U E. So it's like just CR Rodriguez, but no Z on the end.
Oh, no Z at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
No Z. At elpasotimes.com.
All lowercase?
Yep.
Let me spell it back. C as in Charlie, R as in Robert, and then Rodriguez with no Z, so RODRIGUE at elpasotimes.com.
Correct.
All right. Let me just try sending this to you right now. I'm going to title it the case number that the police use themselves. It's HCPD case 1809035.
Okay. Can I ask what? Just one other question. What was your interest in getting involved in the case?
Well, I have an axe to grind with the Horizon City Police Department and just law enforcement in El Paso County in general, because basically what it comes down to is I've been approached and interrogated and, you know, just treated like I've committed some crime just for simply sitting in my car and eating Taco Bell or walking down the street. So, I mean, I've already had my own issues dealing with civil rights, but then when I happened to get this case in my hands, and it was pure accident because that night I was down at the other end of the road. This was like an unlit dirt road here in Horizon, and the only reason I was there was because I was sitting there watching Netflix, eating Taco Bell, just doing my thing, and then the police came up to me, and this isn't the first time, but they came up to me. They hadn't messed with me in like a couple months. I guess they had forgotten me, and I was in a different vehicle anyway. But anyway, they came up to me. They gave me a hard time. And so I was going to, like, write my own complaint to the assistant chief of the chief about that. And just to establish this timeline of that night and what happened, I went ahead and asked for the records of whatever police activity had happened up the road, which I had just passively been watching. I wasn't even concerned about it, but I could see the HCPD doing something. They had a bunch of flashlights and a few of them over there. And then when I asked for those records, the administrative assistant to the chief, she sent it to me. And then once I had it, I had it. So I read it, and then things just started not adding up to me, and I went from there. So.
I see. What do you think they've been targeting you in the past?
Well, they have this thing that they call, quote unquote, checking on. They always say they're checking on somebody. And then they don't have any, you know, actual thing they can spell out as to why they're checking on somebody. And then they just go from there, and a lot of people end up getting their cars searched or they get arrested. Basically, they assume that anybody out at nighttime is a criminal. That's what it comes down to. And they just launch investigations into people who never called the police. And they're always concerned about where you live. If you don't live in Horizon, they automatically act like that in itself is a crime.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, have you already sent it, or?
Yeah, I'm sending it right this very second. Here we go.
Okay.
Should be getting in your box any second.
Yeah.
Should say HCPD number 1809035.
Not yet. Might just take a minute.
Okay, I'm patient, so
yeah. Yeah, it's every newspaper I've worked at, the email has always been a little slow.
Okay. Yeah, because I CC'd myself. I have more than one email address, and I always do that just for text. Like I CC'd my other email address, and it showed up in my other email address.
Okay. Oh,
and let me
got it.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Now that video link that I sent you, you can check out all the videos on my YouTube channel that deal with Mr. Reamer, and any other videos if you want. But the ones that deal with Mr. Reamer, I deliberately put a picture of him and his case number on those videos. So like the one I just sent you is the first one I made, but I made a couple more too if you want to check them out.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Looks like I got everything I need in here, and we'll take a look.
All right, Mr. Rodriguez. Well, I really appreciate you taking my call, and you have a great weekend.
Thanks. You too.
All right. Bye.